If you're really into board games, you're very familiar with Kickstarter, GameFound, you name it, you're familiar with. Now, these sites crowdfund for other products, yes, but it crowdfunds for just a ton of board games. And over the years, the value of Kickstarter to the consumer, I think, has gone way down. And there are a lot of risks you have to be careful of when looking at Kickstarter campaigns or when you get the products that you have Kickstarter. We're going to chat all about that and a recent controversy in just a second. What's going on, everyone? It's Adam here from No Shelf Space, and today we're talking all about Kickstarter. Now, I've used Kickstarter many times. I've kickstarted Flamecraft. I've kickstarted One Card Wonder. I've kickstarted Dinosaur Fossil, I think it's called. I've kickstarted a number of different games, and I've reviewed a ton of Kickstarter games, like Life of the Amazonia was a Kickstarter game. I have a game soon coming in the mail for review called Raising Robots, which just recently fulfilled their Kickstarter. And Kickstarter is a great place, and there are some great games coming to Kickstarter. And a lot of these games would never come to life without the support of crowdfunding. Over the years, though, we've seen established publishers starting to head to crowdfunding to get their games funded. Why? I'm not really sure. I haven't really dove into that enough to actually see why an established publisher like AEG or Pandasaurus or whoever would actually go to Kickstarter or GameFound. When I say Kickstarter, I just mean crowdfunding. Why they would go there at all to raise money for their games. But I'm sure there's a good reason for it, and that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about the inherent risks and the challenges of doing a Kickstarter. Now, I live in Canada, and one of the big challenges right now for doing anything on Kickstarter is just the cost of shipping. It's not even the cost of the game itself. When you're in Canada, when you're factoring in that shipping cost, and we're usually tier 2 or tier 3 when it comes to regions for shipping, it gets very expensive very quickly. So all of a sudden, that game that costs $49.99 US dollars, which ends up being, I don't know, $65 Canadian. No, $49.99, $70 Canadian, maybe even a little over $70 Canadian. But then you're going to get hit with another sometimes $30, $34 in shipping, depending on the weight of the game. And before you know it, you're sitting at a game that's going to cost you $100 or $80 US, $85 US. So you're in at like $119, $120 Canadian after shipping and taxes for wherever you live. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge. And a lot of people are now finding out that, hey, if I just wait, my big local retailer or online retailer in Canada, that's Board Game Bliss, Board Game Bandit, 401 Games, maybe they're going to kickstart it and I can just buy it from them. In some situations, this is fine and it doesn't matter. In other situations, it really does matter. I was looking at a couple Kickstarter campaigns. I kickstarted Flamecraft, and I believe my all-in was about $130 Canadian after I paid my taxes, my shipping, my pledge for the deluxe version. And I came out about okay, because you can buy that game right now at our large retailers for $129.99 Canadian plus tax. So I probably came out a little bit cheaper. Because I didn't have to pay the tax on that 130. My 130 was about all in. But there are other games that people are backing now, and they're coming and they're showing up, and people are happy with them until they log on and they realize, wow, I just paid $109 Canadian for this game that I can now pre-order at Board Game Bliss for $79.99 Canadian. These are what we talk about when we talk about the risks of backing something on Kickstarter. You are backing a project to help fund it. You are backing a project to help fund it. And there are costs associated with them. And very rarely there are certain situations where things go south on a publisher. But there are rarely situations where the cost of the game and the cost of shipping is not reflected on the page when you're looking at it. No one is promising. I don't think anywhere does a game found a Kickstarter campaign promise that when you pay for your game on Kickstarter, you're going to get a better deal than if you buy it from a local retailer. They do promise Kickstarter exclusive stuff if you back it. However, I noticed that if you back at a retail tier and you're a retailer, you probably also are getting those extra bonuses for when you actually sell a pre-order at your store, online or in person. But you're never actually, everything's usually up front. Once in a while, as we saw recently with Elf Creek Games, they didn't prepare well for the shipping costs, and there's higher shipping costs, in which case Elf Creek said, hey, please give us more money if you're in these regions. And if you're in these regions, if you do not give us more money, we are not sending you your games. That stuff happens, but I think that is still fairly rare, but it is one of the challenges of Kickstarter. You are not being guaranteed the best price. Even though some of them will say $10 off MSRP, these small retailers who are selling games at your local game store do not have to abide by MSRP. Oftentimes, the local game store is going to be above MSRP. There are situations, though, where these larger game stores, local game stores, even though it's across Canada online, is actually selling lower than MSRP. It happens. So when you see that, hey, you're going to save 10 bucks on MSRP, it doesn't mean anything because your store is going to set the price. Your store is going to set the price, and they're going to charge you what they want to charge you. It could be less, could be more. So if you really, really want something and you're worried your retailer might not get it, which happens, then back it. The other issue you have on Kickstarter is that things are not going to get refunded when something goes south, and that can happen quite often in big and small ways. I recently backed Zoo Tycoon, and it just fulfilled, and I just got it, I think, last week. And when I opened it up, I realized that they forgot to include a bag, and it was literally a clear, large Ziploc bag for all of the enclosure tiles that you use in your zoo. Not a big deal for me. I've got bundles and bundles of bags. And the designer came out and he said, listen, these bags cost like 4 cents. I'm not sending everybody a bag. It'd be way too expensive. This is stupid. It's not the cost of the bag. It's the cost to ship it to how many backers. He's like, I apologize, but I'm not shipping you a bag. And most people in that situation were fine. There are a few people who are like, oh, that's not right. You should refund us partially. Forget it. It's a bag. Pandasaurus just recently delivered the Fox experiment, and there's actually issues with their neoprene mats. And what they've told people is the issue with the neoprene mat that doesn't match the cardboard player board sucks to suck. They literally said sucks to suck in a much nicer way. They were like, it doesn't really impact gameplay. If you realize that this number is supposed to be 5 and not 4, you're going to be fine. But it does suck if you just purchase this game. You spent all this money, 20 bucks to add neoprene mats or a part of your deluxe pledge. I get it. It's frustrating, but it is Kickstarter. And I don't think you can go in expecting a refund. Now, should a refund have been issued in some way? Maybe, especially for an established company like Pandasaurus. So maybe, yeah, there should have been a refund. But you can't expect it. Like, this is Kickstarter. You are giving money. In most cases, you're giving money without even a guarantee. Like, if the thing funds, they could never deliver, and it sucks to suck. And I've been there. I've had something that hasn't delivered yet. I backed something on Kickstarter, a video game. It was only like $15. I backed it in 2018, maybe 2017. It still hasn't delivered. Like, we're 5-6 years going now. I haven't seen this game hasn't seen the light of day. I don't even know what they're doing. There's no updates. So I've been there in a small sense, not in this grandiose sense where my playmats are wrong, but it is the risk you take when you back on Kickstarter. Do I think there should be some kind of compensation from Pandasaurus? I do. They're a large enough company, I think, that could handle that. However, I don't think you can expect it. I get that people are really angry, but listen, guys, this is Kickstarter. This is what's going to happen. There's going to be errors. There's going to be problems. There's going to be delays. And you sign up for that when you sign up for a Kickstarter campaign. If you guys enjoy content like this, please hit that like button, subscribe. Leave a comment down below on this video. This is one of my more maybe controversial takes, so I'd love some feedback. Even if you disagree with me, I love reading if you're very articulate in why you disagree with me, I'm going to reply. I'm going to reply to you. So thank you so much for checking out this video. We'll talk to you again real soon. Goodbye.